The views and opinions expressed by contributors on the Spoon River Gothic podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the host. Material heard on the Spoon River Gothic podcast is intended for adult listeners. This podcast deals with mature topics that may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. This is Spoon River Gothic, narrative of a double homicide.
No one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
What message is the emergency?
Hi, I was hoping to reach anyone who knew Mr. Bob Dorenzi.
What did you need?
I'm conducting research about a fire he was involved in, and I was hoping to know if he ever spoke about the fire and how it affected him.
Oh, no, he did not. I'm sorry. And he's passed away since, so.
And what is your relation to him?
I'm not. We just bought the business from him years ago.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Hi, I was hoping to speak to a family member who knew Mr. Bob Dorenzi.
That would be me. Who is this?
My name is Jinra. I'm conducting research about a fire he was involved in, and that research we're hoping on developing content for a podcast.
No, ma'am, he's passed away. Hello?
Hi, I was hoping to reach Mr. John Stanko.
Speaking.
Hi, my name is Jinra, and I'm conducting research for a criminal justice report for an upcoming podcast that's specifically about the Donald Bull case. And I was hoping to know if it was a good time to ask some questions about the case, or if we could schedule a time later.
We could probably schedule a time later. Just headed to the airport to pick up my brother, so this is a good time.
Okay, when's a good time when are you going to be available?
Well, how long would it take, you think?
I would say about half an hour of your time.
Okay, all right. You might try me later this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Stanko. This is Jinra. Have I reached you at a good time?
It's probably as good as any.
Okay.
There's a little bit of noise in the background because they're putting a new roof on today. Can you hear me okay?
I can. And that reminds me, I need to have my roof reworked. So
I got a few questions here before we start.
Sure.
You said your name was Jenna?
Jinra, Jinra.
Jinra. Well, I would have never guessed that. I apologize.
It's okay. I'm with
Last name?
my last name is very long, so I will have to spell that out for you. That's
Okay.
ILUSTRIS.
Oh, wait a minute. ILUS as in Sam or F as in Frank?
S as in Sam.
Okay. And then go on from there.
PRI.
PR. Okay.
SIMO. Illustrissimo.
Okay. Tell me spelling.
I'm calling with Lonebird Media, and we're currently conducting research for criminal justice report for an upcoming podcast, which is going to be specifically about the Donald Bull case. And right now we're just... I'm sorry?
What was the media company? Lonebird?
Lonebird Media. And our website is lonebirdmedia.com.
Is that LONE?
Yes.
B-E-R-G or B-E-R-G?
BIRD. Lonebird Media.
Oh, Lonebird.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Who else were you assigned to call, if I might ask?
Basically, any of the investigators connected to the case, friends and family members of the victim, and friends and family members of the man that was convicted.
All right. Well, I'm just kind of curious about all this, how this came about. So.
Of course. All right. What are your initial memories of the incident?
Well, my initial memories are that we were called for a fire that morning to the apartment where Donna Thompson and her daughter lived. After the fire was extinguished by then, the bodies of Donna and Justine were discovered in the house. We were told that they were in there.
And at the time that this happened, what was your role with the fire department?
I believe at that time I was a lieutenant and was on an engine company, and but I was also a fire investigator.
What were your initial suspicions?
We didn't have any initial suspicions.
And how was it discovered that the fire originated?
It was discovered that it was intentionally set.
The court records say that Miss Donna Tompkins' daughter was found curled next to her. If she was murdered, do you think this is plausible?
Well, I wouldn't know why not.
Some reports say...
This podcast is actually connected to Spoon River College.
I'm sorry?
This podcast is connected to Spoon River College?
No.
Well, I'm looking at Lonebird Media, and it's got all about Donna, investigation of double homicide of Donna and Justine Thompson, and the conviction of Donald Bull Jr. It's called Spoon River Gothic Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. So where are you based out of?
So the office is in New York City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay. How was it possible for a gasoline fire to smolder for 2 hours without catching the house on fire or alerting other people with the smoke or scent?
I don't think anybody ever said that the fire smoldered for 2 hours.
And how was Donald Bull determined as a suspect?
There was a lot that went into how he was developed as a suspect. but ultimately there was a lot of evidence developed, including DNA evidence, that tied into the crime.
As far as the investigation goes, how do you feel that the investigation went on either your side as a fire investigator or the police?
I think everybody. I mean, we had a task force that helped investigate this, up to and including ATF, the sheriff's office, the local police, fire department, state fire marshal's office. There were many agencies involved in this. I thought everybody worked together fairly well.
And did you testify during the Donald Bull trial? What can you tell me about your testimony?
I testified the origin of cause, introduced samples that had been taken during the course of the investigation. I think I testified for like 8 hours.
Did anything about this case or trial seem off to you?
What do you mean by off?
Off as in not right?
As far as the trial?
And, well, the case in general.
No, nothing strikes me about it being off. I mean, it was a long investigation. I think it was something like 18 months maybe before Donald Bull was even arrested.
Do you feel justice was served?
I'm reading this website. It says immediately the death was considered suspicious, and I would disagree with that. I'm not sure where this other information has come from that's on this website. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm wanting to explore that. You feel that this wasn't suspicious at all?
The what? The death wasn't suspicious?
Right.
No. I think once we got the facts, I think it was, definitely homicide. But the website says that immediately their deaths were considered suspicious, and I'm not sure that would be accurate, because until at least we had the initial autopsy findings, I would think that we didn't know that it was suspicious.
I understand.
Or homicide.
Okay. And do you feel justice was served?
Yes.
Okay. Would you happen to know anything about an anonymous letter that the mayor and the police chief received regarding mishandled evidence?
I would not. I don't know what police chief.
Okay.
There's been several chiefs. Do you know what chief?
Michael Elam?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Okay. And are you aware of any new evidence that the defense was going to present at Donald Bull's hearing in 2002? The hearing was to an attempt to help exonerate him from death row.
Oh, no, I don't know anything.
Okay.
That would be the state's attorney. That wouldn't have been anything we were involved in.
And if there was anything you could say to Donna Tompkins, what would it be?
Somehow I don't know. I think we did a good job on the investigation, and I would hope that justice was served. The trial was a clean trial. I think the attorneys on both sides did a good job. The state and the defense. And, I think everybody had their chance in court and did their job.
is Jinra.
Hi, Jinra. This is Jack Malooly returning your call.
Hi, Mr. Malooly. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So the reason why I was calling is because I'm researching a case you worked on about 30 years ago. Obviously, there was a fire. It involves a gentleman named Donnie Bull, and the woman that passed from the case, her name is Donna Tompkins.
Okay, what town was that?
That was in Canton.
Oh, Canton, Illinois?
Yes.
Yeah, was it just Donna that passed away, or was there a little kid also?
There was a little girl.
Yeah. And both of them passed away, right?
Right.
So what are you doing with the podcast?
So the intention is just to tell the story as accurately as possible and just to humanize everyone involved.
And what's the motivation? I mean, how did you hear about that old case?
It's a story I think everyone should be aware of.
And who else have you spoken with about that case?
I've spoken with Mr. John Stanko, and then I do have some names of some of the firefighters that were present.
So what is the current position of the defendant?
What happened to Mr. Bull?
Yeah.
Oh, he ended up on death row, and he died while waiting.
So he died while on death row?
Yes. I know, it was so long ago.
Yeah, and a lot of times, if we were involved in helping at the scene, and the state guy or the local police are willing and able to proceed with the continuing investigation and prosecution on their own, then we just, close that out as an assistance to state and local investigators and not, be involved in the criminal case itself. Do you have any record that there was any ATF any prosecution in federal court in addition to the state court?
It went all the way to the Supreme Court of Illinois.
And what were the results?
They affirmed the previous ruling, which was to send the man to death row.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you want to know about the case from me?
I just want to know what all you remember, if you remember anything.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot. I don't remember if John Maroka, the other ATF agent that was a certified fire investigator and a certified explosive specialist like myself. I don't know if he was initially the one involved and then called me to come also, or vice versa. I mean, it depends. Sometimes you get involved with assisting a state and local agency, and they're strapped for manpower or lack experience in this sort of case, and then they request more help. So then an agent that may not be a technical specialist would maybe be assigned to help them with the investigation part of it. And then the case maybe would only go to the state court, but that ATF case agent would also testify in the state. I don't remember testifying in that case. Yeah. I mean, my recollection was the woman's body was on a burned up mattress, and we were postulating that he poured beverage alcohol around, on and around the body, and ignited it in an attempt to, cover up the homicide, or whatever. But I don't even remember at this stage if there was any lab results from the state lab.
I understand.
And John Stanko was, I think he was the lead fire investigator for the fire department.
Right.
He later became deputy chief, I think even chief down there. You say you spoke with him. What's he up to now?
I didn't quite ask him about what he was up to. I just asked him, same questions, what he recollected from it, how he felt the investigation went, whether or not he testified, and what all he remembers.
So, he would be a resource to find out if there was any further ATF assistance in the case other than scene work. If he was there, if he was the state's quote-unquote case agent, he would be familiar with all of that. I don't recall testifying down there in that case in state court. But, like I say, if John Morocco was, I think he had already worked a big case down there, and so they contacted him, and maybe he called me to say, hey, there's a double homicide down here. But then he did the paperwork, and maybe he was the one that testified. I'm assuming there was a criminal trial.
Yes.
That went to a guilty verdict.
Yes.
And then his attorney filed an appeal on that.
Right.
But that's about. I don't even remember what the coroner, or the medical examiner listed as the actual cause of death.
So I have the report, the autopsy reports, and the cause of death was asphyxiation.
Okay, and does it describe what it means?
It had mentioned that the medical examiner had testified that it's possible that maybe a pillow did it.
Okay, because asphyxia is a kind of a general term. So, there can be evidence of manual strangulation by hands or using a garrote or something, or by a pillow. But sometimes, depending if the person dies in a fire, they may also list asphyxia as a potential cause.
From
but
the
in that case,
gases.
There would be evidence at post-mortem of soot in the airway when they did the post-mortem exam. If the body is dead prior to the fire, the body's not breathing, so there's no soot and smoke inhaled. And if they find evidence of soot in the trachea, then they can say that the person was alive during the fire, and that therefore breathing the products of combustion contributed to the death.
If I remember correctly, I think it was determined that there wasn't. And if there was very low levels.
Yeah. My recollection was that we felt that she was dead and then poured to try to, disguise the fact. That's about it. I don't have any records or reports.
I know it was 30 years ago, but do you remember what it was like at the scene?
The bedroom was. I don't have a lot of recollection. I remember the body on the bed and the burned mattress. But I don't remember about the rest of the damage, to the structure at all. I know that we were able to make access so that
wasn't like there was, the collapse of the building or anything. Alcohol is not a very good accelerant, but it's also as far as the way that it burns. But because it's water soluble, it's more difficult to detect after the firefighters come and spray water to suppress the fire.
I see.
Because it's not like gasoline or kerosene or lamp oil or something that won't mix with the oil. The alcohols will be diluted and carried away by the water many times. So you have to kind of find a protected area where the alcohol could have flowed, like say under a body in an absorbent mattress material, but then may have been more protected from the water spray because of the body on top of it. And the lab has to be instructed to first search for an alcohol accelerant, because their normal testing would not test for that.
Oh.
So in the normal testing may prevent it from being tested for it later. So if you suspect a water-soluble accelerant, you have to notify the lab that they do those tests first before they do the following ones.
Do you think maybe they did?
Well, we would have told them, hey, we suspect that it was an alcohol-based accelerant. So
I see.
Hopefully that's what they tested for first. But like I say, because of its solubility, it's difficult to find a lot of times.
When you were there for assistance, was this the day that the fire happened, or another time afterward?
No, I believe it was the same day.
Okay.
Whatever time it took us to drive down there.
After this closed up, did you pay any additional attention to this case?
I did not. If we were not doing the follow-up on it, there's too many other irons on the fire or other cases coming in.
I understand.
And a lot of times they want to take the case to the state court system, and many times the penalties are maybe greater. So, yeah, go ahead. You guys want to do it, take it. It's your case. And then we would just point out things at the scene that they want to make sure that they document and use for, later use at trial.
I've actually learned quite a bit just talking to you.
Okay, well, I'm glad to help. Sorry that the memory after 30 years isn't as good as it should be, probably.
Right.
But there's so many scenes, every year on top, multiplied by 30.
Wait. Quick question.
Yeah.
On average, how many cases does the ATF deal with for fires a year?
I wouldn't have any recollection about that. I mean, there's stats that I'm sure are available, but there's a difference in that. Arson prosecutions that ATF is involved with would be one number, and then a much larger number would be fire scenes that special agent certified fire investigators assisted state and local investigators with. So there wouldn't be an ATF prosecution recorded.
I see.
But in this case, I don't think that there was. But it was in the job description, in the mandate for the specialty position of an ATF certified fire investigator. One of the things that you were supposed to do is provide assistance to and training for state and local investigators. Because our program is much more, sometimes you go to a few weeks of training in the state and you get certified, whereas ours was a minimum 2-year training program to be certified. So, we were, one of the job descriptions was to be a resource for state and local investigators.
Spoon River Gothic is a production of Lonebird Media in association with CZ Studio. The show is produced by August Olson, editing, directing, and producing by Corey Zimmerman. Audio mastering and engineering by E. Mastered. Research is done by Anne-Marie Cannon, Chelsea Mesa, and me, Jinra Illustrissimo. Spoon River Gothic is written and hosted by Corey Zimmerman. You can follow the show at czstudio.works and read the blog at spoonrivergothic.com. Show some love by leaving us a rating or review on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And stay tuned for the next episode as we dive deeper into the Donald Bull case. Thank you for listening. This is Spoon River Gothic, narrative of a double homicide.